So I'll have my name is Isabel here to talk a little bit about work authorization before the career fair next week and ways to think about work authorization before you start talking to employers. I'm here with my colleagues.
Monica Ladig. I'm with the Career Center. I have two jobs, I guess. I'm the director and oversee the endowment and programming for the Student International Business Council, which is a huge love of mine. And my second love is working with international students. So I do that through the Career Center. My office is just down there in 504. So if there's ever anything you want follow up with or whatever, please always feel free to reach out to me.
I'm Dulce. I'm a student immigration advisor at ISA. So I work with
I'm Elaine.
Yeah. Oh, here comes our other friend.
Last minute introductions, friend. Introductions to the group.
My name is I'm a freshman.
So we're going to turn it over to Monica to first start talking a little bit about the Career Center, and then we'll pivot to me, and I'll talk a little bit about work authorization. You'll talk a little bit about the career fair, kind of prepping for that.
Yeah.
And probably 20 minutes, 25 minutes, we'll just keep it together, and then we'll see and answer all of your questions. I think everyone's got individual same nature, but not the same address. We all have really different specific questions that we're going to help sort out. And then truly at the end, if you're like, want to text it,
for sure.
Yeah, before we meet. But
yeah. Otherwise, the career assistants that we have working for us, they're good. But real quick before, you're probably wondering what is this over here? You don't normally have in our groups, but Notre Dame had a partnership with Jason Henry this year called Suit Up, and actually had it years, but this year, you are interested in finding some lower cost professional coaching. At the end, come and get one of these. Each one is its own, coupon, I should say, and you can get extra 30% off. So just an example, my friend got a shirt like this for like $10. So and something that's or anyway, great prices. If you've ever been to the mall here, it's one of the anchor stores, but you just want to get if you need to and you can use it into your friends, but just remember what you want. So yeah, so they brought those mannequins over and we've been moving them around places to try to get the word out about that. Okay. Okay, cool. So yeah, this is a small group and it sounds like we have freshmen, sophomores, juniors. So that's perfect. And it's such a smart time to come and start thinking about working in the US and what do I need to do? And each year it's a little different, but brilliant that you're coming now. Sometimes students wait a little bit on the longer side and things get pretty stressful. So you guys are on it. So I guess the most important thing to really think and know is that our Notre Dame international students, I mean, you all are the top talent from all over the world. You could have gone to any university anywhere, but you chose Notre Dame. And the good news is our international students do very well when it comes to finding a job in the US. Hey. Okay. No, I think it's going to go back on now. I hope. I didn't even know it automatically turned off at some point. But as you were looking at those logos, as we get them back up, I'm sure most people are familiar with a lot of those names. Those are just like, ones that I know many students over the 15 years that I've been at Notre Dame have been hired at, but more specifically in the last 3 to 4 years, those logos of, you know, like Google and Microsoft and IBM and Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Deutsche Bank, UBS, Bain, BCG, McKinsey. These are all places that our international students have landed opportunities. So that's the good news. Those are oftentimes companies that our international students want to work for. Is it working? Anyway, and the good news is too that, you know, they are global companies, so they have offices not just in the US, but all across the US, and then also outside the US, which for some students is good to know too.
There, it's coming.
It's coming.
It's slowly coming. But now the lights
Oh,
are...
we can just turn the lights down.
Okay, so.
Oh, great,
You
it's
can
good.
turn-
It's hard to read. So probably, I'll go back. So anyway, hopefully you see something. Another thing to mention in these logos are that even Notre Dame has hired undergraduate international talent before. Also, I think I have on there Johns Hopkins, but also a student recently in the last 2 years, I can't remember when, but anyway, she got hired as a research assistant at University of Chicago. So it's just good to know, like, there's a good variety of places, both these big companies and then also universities. So, and then our international students are accepted into, you know, some of the top grad schools and grad programs in this country as well as, and some go outside this country after graduation. Okay, so here's what some of the services that we have up here on the 5th floor for you. Handshake is our jobs and internships platform. So I think a lot of the sophomores went through Morello and maybe have started their profile on there. If you're a freshman or a sophomore and haven't done that, it's a good idea to get your profile kind of up to speed in the sense that get a picture taken, a professional picture on there. Once you have your US resume, let's get that on there because companies can find you as well as you can find companies as you are answering the questions in your profile of what you're interested in. And also you can follow those companies that you kind of hope to work for or might want to work for so that say they're coming for an info session or they're going to be doing interviews on campus, you'll get that notification. So you don't have to always wonder like what's happening. Am I missing something? So that's really important. Career counseling appointments, those are available to you. We have industry appointments, discernment appointments, and we have international student specific appointments for younger students. And then for the students senior year too, that which there's hardly any, but sometimes senior year, there are students who are still looking for a full-time opportunity. We have those available too. Career fairs, yay, we have our career fairs coming up next week. So that's the other reason it's brilliant that you're here. We'll go through that in a second. We have Irish Compass, which is an alumni networking platform. So let's just say you're interested in banking in New York. You can go on there on this site and connect with other Notre Dame alums, possibly even international Notre Dame alumni who are working in banking in New York, Chicago, wherever. Everybody who has signed on to Irish Compass, every alum, they want to be reached out to and they want to help. So it's a little bit less threatening than when we reach out to people on LinkedIn, when it's just kind of like cold calling. When you're reaching out on Irish Compass, you already know everybody on there has already said, like, yeah, I want to help. Career tracks, those are going to be starting up again, and those are through the Career Center also. I think that there'll be some engineering career tracks, and there'll be some business career tracks, possibly some poli-sci kind of consulting mix career tracks, and that's where you would sign up and we get a bus and we set the schedule and you would kind of know where you're going. And usually they're in Chicago, but like for engineering, some of those will go, you know, somewhere. We did have some in Boston, but in general, they'll do something where they can drive to it. So a Striker in Michigan or Lily and some other groups in Indianapolis. So those will be coming back now that COVID is fully over. And then once you find an internship, there is internship funding you can apply for through the Career Center. You do have to have the internship offer first, and this will be second semester. And it's not a ton of money, but it definitely helps with things like housing, transportation costs, food, all those things that you're going to need if you intern somewhere and don't have housing and transportation. So that can be helpful. The older you are, the more likely you will get more money, because the idea is you're closer to finding that full-time opportunity. So they get kind of first dibs, and then the money that's left over is distributed to the like sophomores and freshmen, if there are any. So lots of services. Support specifically for international students. We have an international student advisory board that right now is on hiatus, but that'll be coming back hopefully second semester. And maybe even some of you will think about joining that. And that is international students who have found opportunities that want to help other international students through mentoring, through events like this. We used to do coffee chats so that we can support the younger students. So everything you've gone through, you probably think like, gosh, that would have been helpful if I had known that. That's kind of what ISAB is for. We do have international student-specific appointments. Right now, there aren't any in Handshake because I'm the one who does them, and I have a little bit of a family emergency going on, so it's hard for me to schedule those out. But I'll give you my email at the end, and I'm always happy to set something up as soon as possible. So you just have to email me. Networking and professional development events and international, oh yeah, this is exciting. Our international student jobs and internships platform that we support together with ISSA called InterStride. And as Leah talks more about work authorization, the nice thing about InterStride is you can look up both CAP exempt or Fortune 500 companies that hire international talent. So that can be super helpful. And especially the older you get while you're here at Notre Dame, there are a lot of different ways that can help you, and we can walk you through that at any time when you are ready. Important things to consider for the freshmen and sophomores and juniors. So, I mean, you guys, like I said, are like world-class talent, so smart. Can't believe you chose Notre Dame. We're so proud you did. But academic performance, we know this, it's very important. Sometimes students, international and not international, get so excited about internships and jobs and all that they kind of let their school slide. But in the majority of cases, you're competing with a lot of other students. So the better and stronger your GPA is, always, obviously, the better your chances of kind of standing out. It'll be important to understand, especially if you're a freshman or sophomore, STEM versus non-STEM majors at Notre Dame, because that has a little bit to do with work authorization, and Leah will talk more about that. Next week, I'm going to get to in a minute, career fairs coming up. So your US resume is something that if you want to give a present to yourself, it would be get your US resume started, because then all you're going to have to do is update it. And it's kind of overwhelming to think like, oh, I got to do this. And it seems like a pain, but we can help walk you through that. But once you kind of get the structure, you'll just keep adding. And when you look at your resume, you'll be able to know where you need to add. Like, oh, I'm a little weak on career-related experiences, or, oh, gee, I wish my GPA was a little higher. I'm going to work harder there, or whatever, or I need some more hard skills. So that is important. Career-related experiences, not just internships, which internships are very valuable, but also project-related experiences, academic clubs like the Rocket Club, SIBC, which isn't really a club, but it's listed as one, where you can do semester-long projects with companies. These are different ways for you to continue to discern, but also to connect directly with employers, to kind of have that face-to-face, but also then stand out with high-level talking points on your resume. So whether you're building a car or a rocket or doing a semester-long project, those are really important to put on your resume, and how you explain what you've done is important too, and the Career Center can help with that. Leadership development. So as you progress, freshman year, no one is expecting you to run anything or start anything. But as you advance in your sophomore year, employers like to see that you're having career-related experiences, you're doing great in school, and maybe you are stepping up in a club or in a class as a team leader or president, vice president, or you're just on the board. It's showing it's showing that discipline, that commitment, and that you're progressing versus students who aren't doing any of that. So it really helps you stand out. Networking, we talked about Irish Compass, but also through the career fair is important for you to start learning more about what positions are available that you will be able to apply to understand the industries that you're thinking about. And it's just, some people will say networking is about 75 to 85% of the jobs that are gotten come through networking, which is kind of hard to believe, but it's true. I got my job through networking. I don't know if you did, but that's how it happened for me 15 years ago. And actually my other jobs in healthcare and real estate, that's how it happened. Knowing which job and internship platforms are good and strong to use, and then kind of getting an approach to how you're going to use those is important to consider. And then understanding your work authorization, OPT, CPT, is obviously something that you're thinking about. And it can be overwhelming, so it's really good that the ISSA folks are here. And at some point, understanding CAP exempt organizations can be really valuable, especially students who are maybe having a difficult time senior year looking for an opportunity. There are a lot of jobs out there that are CAP exempt, and ISSA will walk us through that. So let's talk about the career fair. It's not just one career fair now, it's career fair week, which begins Monday. See something here. Okay. Begins Monday, and you can see on here, I mean, there really is something for everyone. These events are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So the All Colleges Fair, where there are going to be employers from lots of different industries, that's on Tuesday upstairs in the Danke ballroom. But if you're really focusing on corporate finance or accounting or marketing or engineering, tech, there are specific career fair where you can go and actually talk to employers in these industries. And so what should I do? Should I just go to those, or should I go to the all career fair? So a lot of times the advice is maybe you go to both, but let's say you're engineering, if you can only go to one, you want to go to the engineering night versus the other one. A lot of the employers that'll be at the engineering night will be at the all career fair event too, but it's nice to have these. We didn't used to. It's where, if you're into marketing, that Marketing Meet the Firms is going to be all about marketing. So you're not wasting your time, and that's what you're interested in. And it's just cool that we have this many things. Yeah.
How important to is it just live?
Yeah.
So is it get there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So actually strategically, sometimes, sometimes it's not a bad idea to be in the middle or towards the end. It kind of depends. Sometimes people are tired of talking, and so the end is bad. But for a lot of times, if you saw some you kind of forget the first couple people you saw, but the last couple people you saw, it's like, oh, I remember her. So absolutely, when you can get there, and they're not, and even if you didn't register, which you know can if you want to, but even if you don't, you can still come to these. But it's not a bad idea just to remind yourself, and then you'll get all the follow-up emails to say, hey, you signed up for engineering industry night. It's tonight or whatever. So yeah. And then Thursday, something that's new is we have a real estate night. I don't know if any of you are interested in real estate, but it's a lot. If you're in finance, you might want to check this out because a lot of the positions are heavy with finance and real estate. But it's kind of cool. They're going to have their own event, and that's going to be in the Purcell Pavilion. So just understanding like a lot of things are going to be here in this building, but some will be over there. And here comes some engineering, Lockheed Martin flight simulator experience. That could be cool. Innovation Garage, if you don't know where that is, when you come in the south door and you turn right and go all the way back there, that's the garage, apparently. I did not know that, but now I do. So really, there's no way there isn't something that might interest you one of these nights. I mean, it's just so much that we've brought this time that you're really fortunate that you know about it ahead of time and that you can benefit from it. Here's more on Friday even. So a lot of times students don't have as many classes on Friday. So if that's true and you're interested in any of this, Golden Gateway Series reception is if you have any interest at all in working in California, specifically more the Bay Area, you definitely want to go to that. And that's going to be a lot of engineering and tech talk, but lots of opportunities because we have a lot of alumni there. We have that study abroad program there as well. So check that out and get connected and get on their golden spreadsheet, and you'll stay up to date with that information if you're interested in that. If you want to go to law school, got that too. Okay. I think that is probably a lot. Do you have any questions about the career fairs or about resumes or about the services that we offer up here at the Career Center? Yeah.
Oh,
Alex.
no.
Okay, yes, you're in luck. Leah's going to talk us through all of that now. I'm sure I know, that's the most interesting part. But just know that we are here for you. You need something, don't be embarrassed. Ask me, ask someone. Don't let anything pass you by. You know, if it's just a matter of asking a question, please let us know. And like I said, our international students just thrive. Oh, yes, and we're going to send that to you following up. So, and this will go with what he's talking about. So not all the employers are able to hire international talent, but a lot of them are interested in talking to international talent. So this spreadsheet that we send you helps zero in on companies that are excited about taking to CPT, show explain, and also are willing to sponsor or have sponsored. So yes, we will send you that. Did I already say that? Let me check with employer engagement on that, but did we get their names and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it has been
Make
before.
sure.
But at least at the
Yeah, we do have it.
Great. So I'm going to talk a little bit about working in the U.S. and work authorization options. And you'll notice what I'm focusing on is if you are an F1 student, if you are a graduate F1 student, what are your options in terms of your F1 status? But I will talk a little bit about the process, especially because often your students go to career fair. If you want to walk up there and go to sponsor. You sponsor, I just tell me to sponsor. And it's not always a great way to approach because you already have work authorization benefits. So it's super important for the bigger to get one. Except you finish your degree, or work on your degree, you have a benefit to work in the U.S. after graduation. So everyone in that status who is degree seeking has an option. So there are three options that I'm going to talk about. The CPT is curricular practical training. This is something that you will typically access after you have completed at least 1 year. So if you are freshmen, will have to wait. And you have to wait for another reason, which I'll come to in a second. But typically, CPT is going to be during your program. And CPT is fantastic if you have a job offer. It's related to your major. Maybe it's for the summer. Next summer, you go to career fair next week and you find a position for next summer. CPT is typically how students are going to access that work opportunity. Because our office is going to authorize you to work in the U.S. So you submit an application to USA and you say, I have a job offer, I have an offer letter, and all I need is the authorization. So for CPT, getting the offer first is essential. And then you come to our office for alignment with the offer. Most students will do this during the summer. So maybe it's a 1 month opportunity, and next summer, maybe it's the whole summer. You're going from the day after classes begin all the way up to the classes started. That length is pretty typical. You do have to have a job offer. So again, talk about that first. That's what you're looking for, your private conversation. If the job is and your academic advisor has saying, yes, you're going to be involved in a class that will allow you to participate in CPT, it's connected to your major, I think it's a great opportunity in your degree. Once they've approved it and confirmed you meet their eligibility requirements, meet our eligibility requirements, then we're going to authorize it. So generally we'd say if you're talking to an employer, you're really interested in a position, come see us before you say yes, just to make sure it's going to align. The trickiest thing is often that relationship between them. So sociology, you have a lot of flexibility. Like you can make that work with a lot of different jobs, right? Like be creative, marketing, right? But I would say come talk to us about opportunities that it's straightforward sociology. Engineering is going to be a little bit different. Have maybe some more strict requirements. We had a student who came to us because he had a banking opportunity to work in finance and banking. And we were sitting there and he was so mad. He was like, oh, this is going to be the chance of a lifetime. You're telling me I can't do it because it's not in my nature. Like, I'm really sorry, but if you take this job, it can really set you up for it. He's just getting ready to leave my office and he goes, wait, they wanted a chemical engineer. It was on the job list because they wanted a chemical engineer to analyze chemical companies in this finance setting. And so at the end of the conversation, he's like, oh, great, I can take advantage of this position. But at the beginning, it was hard to figure out. And we're not going to help you make up the but we can help talk through. Is it related to the knowledge? That's going to be essential, not just for CPT, but also for CPT. That document that says that you're authorized to work in our office is I-20, CPT authorization language 2. The top will say work authorization. And that's how you know you're authorized. So CPT is fantastic. I don't think any of you are in the College of Science. All of you were engineering, arts and letters. Engineering, perfect. Then all of you have some eligibility just based on there's courses available in the program that will allow you to internship. I will say for those of you who are freshmen, typically students have to wait until the summer after they're eligible for that because of eligibility. So you can talk to your DUS. So this is during your program. OPT is how you're going to access employment after graduation. Typically, you can use OPT before you graduate. Most students don't because you only get 12 months if you are in sociology, and you will be eligible for 36 months if you're in degree, or sciences or a STEM-related degree. The 12 months for that first OPT is really flexible in terms of what kinds of so you can be an independent consultant, you can have an unpaid internship, you can have a traditional employer-employee relationship. But it does have to be related to major. So again, you're looking every single job that you take off has to be related to So it's really important that as you're having conversations with peers or your about that. It is one advantage to going to the career fair when you're a freshman. Is you can go to lots of different employers and say, tell me about some of the positions you have available. And start thinking about maybe sociology, there's like 15 jobs that you haven't thought about. If you're talking to different employers and hearing about these when you're going back to or the senior, you've got a much broader sense of how you're next and what's so quite so OPT in your first 12 months, it can be paid or unpaid, doesn't matter. The process is a little different. CPT, our office arises very quick, within 2 weeks, you'll know whether or not. OPT, you are applying for a benefit of your F1 status. It doesn't need a job offer. You're just going to apply for 12 months of obligation. The U.S. government is going to look at, did you complete your degree? Did you pay them the fee for the card? Did you have a complete application? Did you get a recommendation from our office? And our office is simply saying, yes, this person, they're eligible for OPT. You're going to send that application off to the U.S. government, and they will take 3-4 months to decide if they're going to approve your application, and then they're going to mail you a card for 12 months. So even my engineers, we're going to have 12 months of off, right? You have lots of flexibility. When you get to the end of this 1 year, if you don't have a STEM major, then you're really done in terms of your F1 status. So what we see a lot of students do in arts and letters is they'll take advantage of 1 year of employment, apply for grad schools, go off and start grad school afterwards, or they'll just enjoy that year, some different opportunities, and then go back to their home country. Or they may shift to H, which we'll talk about. STEM OPT extension, when you get to the end of your first 12 months of OPT, that's when you're going to apply for this extension. And that STEM OPT extension is really different. So OPT, you're just applying for the opportunity to work. And it's blanket authorization for 1 year, 12 months. There's some restrictions, but you're just going to get that 12 months. STEM OPT, you have to have it done. It has to be related to your STEM major. You are going to pay the fee again to the U.S. government. You're going to send your application to the U.S. government again. They're going to decide 24 months. There's some other requirements, but this application, you're not going to get that extra almost done. And we'll send you lots. Hey, you're going to apply for 12 months. You're going to apply for 12 months. Apply for 12 months. Get to your STEM. Okay, get ready to apply for. You have a job, you have the training, you have all this. Again, we do CPT in our office, USCIS, US government. So once someone gets to the end of their STEM OPT extension, that's it for your F1 status and employment authorization, unless you apply for grad school. And all of you should know, if you go to grad school, you get OPT and or STEM OPT at each education. So if you go back and do a master's, you can apply for it. Go back and do a PhD, apply for it again. The STEM OPT extension, you can apply for it twice. But this gives you lots of opportunities long term. H is a little. So last year, there were 65,000 visas that were allowed to process in the US. So 65,000 for undergrads. There was an extra 20,000, should say 65 for master's doctoral students in the US. There was an extra 20,000 for 85,000. Does anybody know how many? Large. Well, it's about 800 applications were submitted. They made it pretty easy to just throw your name in the hat for $10 and call it a day. So this is part of what happened. But 3 years ago, before they made this change, 400,000 applications. So the chances of getting in that H lottery got under. So it's important to realize that when you're talking to an employer, if you sponsor, they can say we are willing to submit an application. But ultimately, your application is going to $100,000. Want to think about this focusing on this kind of year is 3 years of opportunity for us. Then think about what is that age going to get. If you have the STEM OPT extension, you'll have 3 opportunities to have your name in the lottery, right? It's great news. But you don't get credit for having been under the application time. So when you're talking to employers, really focusing on OPT, you get that 12 months or that 36 months of employment. But this is really 3 that are tied to your status. The H is anyone in the world can apply for an H, right? They don't have to have gone to a US university. We typically, and again, it doesn't matter what university you went to, but we typically have about 60 students who get the H every year. And they transition from their F to their H status. There's a second kind of H, which may be particularly interesting to the engineers and some different ways for sociology, is for CAP exempt institutions. So Notre Dame is CAP exempt. So none of our employees at Notre Dame who have an H have to go through the lottery system. Notre Dame says, I want to hire this person. They have to meet some primary responsibilities, at least in an application the US government comes back. So most universities are going to be CAP exempt, right? So that means that you could be a research assistant, potentially. You could have a postdoc, potentially, at an institution, in a CAP exempt institution. And that 85,000 number that I talked about, the 800,000 applications, doesn't impact you at all, okay? So when you're looking for positions, and that's why I appreciate Monica kind of highlighting University of Chicago and even Notre Dame, and students go all over, because that CAP exempt status is really important for the H, that it doesn't matter as long as you have the experience and you're showing up with some qualifications. And typically with an H, it's just a bachelor's degree is enough for that H. So based on your colleges, this is, sorry, I always forget how far Dale is to read the presentation. We've got College of Engineering. Typically students in the College of Engineering, you will be eligible for 2 CPT organizations. And that's because you have to be enrolled in a specific internship supported course, and the College of Engineering has 2 of those. This is typically also where they will hold off on students until you are at the sophomore year, but talk to your US option. We have students who they will do 2 summer internships. They'll do one after the sophomore year, one after the junior year. We have students who will do an internship in the summer and then decide they want to do part-time in the school year. And so then they're using up their 2 operations. We have students who will just do it during part-time during the time. So during the summer, full-time, during the academic year. How long does it like last for and how easy is it to? That's a great part. So for an H lifetime, whether you're CAP exempt or the lottery, it is going to be a 3-year obligation. And then you are allowed one time, so you have basically up to 6 years. Then you're required to exit the US for 1 year and not be in status. Yeah, it's a good one. I shouldn't have done so far. The second, College of Arts and Letters, really no limit at the college level. Fortunately, none of your College of Science, because most students in College of Arts are not eligible for any CPT. But the College of Arts and Letters, there's no limit, but you do have a class that you can enroll in that is supported by where internship is a really essential component of that class. I know one of you is a Spanish double major. If you are going to apply for CPT, typically you're going to go to a primary advisor. You go by that primary college. But there's options for that. Here, it's important just that you have to be enrolled in an appropriate class, and your advisors, right? So if you're talking about an experience and opportunity, again, it doesn't matter if it's paid or should have CPT for anything that's related to your major. There's a lot of unpaid internships, but when you have before you graduated, you want to make sure that you've talked with us about any off-campus opportunity. This is not true. If you decided that you wanted to work in a lab next summer, and it's the summer after your freshman year, but you're going to be here on campus, that's totally fine. You can work on campus during the summers in labs. You don't need any special authorization. It's on-campus employment. So you could do it. We have students who just stay, and most of our College of Science students actually just stay and work and do lab work and are research assistants every summer. So that's certainly an opportunity, and it helps build your resume, especially if you're a freshman and you're just not sure your advisor is going to approve. In part, that's because you have a first-year advisor. So your college advisor is know you till after your sophomore year. Okay, a few just quick notes about the career fair. We generally say even if you're a freshman, you should go to the career fair just to get familiar with it. So then it really counts when you're a sophomore or junior. You feel really comfortable. There's no nerves. You're not dealing with nerves as you're older. You've already taken care of that. You know what to expect. So that's the main thing that we tend to tell students. But a few other tips. One is around that sponsorship, is that you need to understand that Notre Dame is your sponsor for your visa through OPT, through STEM OPT. You are in F1 status even after you graduate and you're a multiple student. Your F1 status with OPT, F1 status with STEM OPT. Super important to know that. And then that is going to provide you with legal work authorization. So sometimes questions get really tricky on applications of like, do you have authorization to work in the US? Would you need sponsorship? So you've got to navigate how to answer those questions because you will need it in the future to have sponsorship for 12 to 36 months. And again, you just have to know when you go up and ask somebody for sponsorship, you have sponsorship for 12 months to 36 months because of your F1 status and the benefits. We've always advised, since I referenced this at the beginning, is to never be the sponsor. And I've sat at the career fair and heard students just walk up. You sponsor? And like the employers are like, no. And I think they probably did. They just were annoyed by that, right? This is an opportunity for you to practice speaking with employers, regardless of whether they sponsor. You might get to a point where you feel like you're really connecting. Then you say, you know, I'm one student, so I'm going to have this work authorization benefit. In the future, I may require sponsorship. And you might get a disappointing, sponsor. But you have a really good opportunity to practice with somebody with no risk, right? Very low risk of engaging them, so that when you get to an employer who does sponsor, you have that expertise. None of it is wasted. None of it's wasted conversation. And it's good for them too to be reminded of students. I will say a couple of things that you can talk about if people ask or pitch that part of the conversation. I think just asking them to talk a little bit about what opportunities they have, what kinds of qualities are they looking with their team, what kind of culture that they are looking for. Those are good questions, and again, they're just good practice. At the end of the day, all of your employment is still related. So if you get to the end of your time at the career fair and you go to Monica or you come to one of us and say, I had this conversation with an employer and they have a position I'm really interested in, this is what it is, and this is my nature. What do you think? And we can talk through that with you, right? Like, what would that look like? Similar to our friend, the chemical engineer, I'm sure is having a great life now, but had a pretty miserable 10 minutes there. So we figured it out. It's just good to talk through this, right? What's the potential? So Monica mentioned Handshake. This is a great opportunity to find those employers who do have really committed to sponsorship. It doesn't make sense. A lot of employers think it's just like it's too much work. You got to pay a lot of money. You're not sure what to think about it. And we're working with Monica and the team here so people understand it's actually not that big. Like there's opportunities. But you can think about why are you interested in something before you get there. Talk about that. And we just say you have another degree. You'll have another degree. So you get to practice talking about why that's so important and why they benefit from your expertise. We also just advise a lot of students who come find something smaller, and they're really excited to get to the city, and to get to San Francisco, get to LA, maybe even Chicago, and get out. And so they just focus on big cities. And so we just always want to encourage students to really think about a diverse solution that we can engage with employers. Because there's a lot of really good places to live in the US that are not New York City and LA and even Chicago. Another one is just to talk with organizations that have operations outside the US. So we had a student one year who was from Brazil, and the summer after her first year at Notre Dame, she went back to Brazil to do an internship. And then she went, I'm trying to remember if she went to either South Africa or to Jerusalem. She either went to Johannesburg or Jerusalem for a second internship in another country. And it wasn't until her junior year that she was like, oh, maybe I'll stay in the US and I'll see what I'm going to do in the US. She did not find those opportunities through InterStride, but that is a tool for finding internships even outside of the US, some different opportunities. So we just always want to name that. It doesn't all have to happen in the US, and any work experience you have outside of the US is really going to benefit you. And then the last thing we just like to remind students of, if you were just at orientation this year, you might remember the IA we talked about braver than every time this year, like overwhelmed, just remember, you're sophomore, even if you're that you're here, you made this choice, you are far away from things that you've been there for 20 years. And so really reflecting on how that makes you a stronger candidate than a kid who has lived in South Bend, like Notre Dame, who has other strengths. What are your strengths that decision here? And just getting really comfortable talking about that with employers and being able to name how you can problem solve it. You understand communication because you can adjust that. And even just your ability to analyze the situation and adjust. Just be ready to talk about that when you're talking about it. So again, if you're a freshman, you can practice those conversations now. So when you're a junior, really that long-term opportunity, you have all that experience talking about what you're bringing to the table. So this is not within immigration, but it is important to remember because the immigration is going to give you the access to those conversations, right? This is a reminder that other things